Welcome to Enjoy Fort Wayne. This episode is brought to you by the YLNI Farmers Market and highlights the 350 vendors that make up the #1 market in the state of Indiana. Today I'm talking to Ashley Wagner. Ashley has been in charge of the market for over a decade. We'll ask her about how the market has grown from 10 vendors to what it is today and why she does what she does. All this and more. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and be sure to hit the notification bell on YouTube so you know when we drop new videos. Today, Ashley Wagner will help us enjoy Fort Wayne. Tell me about how you got started first with the market. This is your, I know it's over 10. How many years? 12. And you look 12.
Oh, I guess I'll take that as a compliment.
So you've been doing it a long time, not your first rodeo.
Oh.
Are you from Fort Wayne originally?
No.
Okay, where were you born?
Right here.
Okay, so if you can't see, if you're listening, she's
I'm
pointing
holding up
to the
right
mitten
See?
and near Ann Arbor, it looks like.
Yes.
Or
Yeah.
Ypsi or Detroit or...
Yes, just outside Ann Arbor. So I was born in this little town called Tecumseh, and then we kind of lived around Ann Arbor, and then my dad took a job when I was in grade school-ish, and that put us actually in Toledo, Ohio for a year.
Oh, okay.
And then this job brought us into Fort Wayne, Indiana. So I was still middle school. So I've been here long enough that it feels like home.
You're basically from here at this point.
Yes, but, I bleed blue and gold. Go Tigers.
Blue and gold is not Tigers.
I know. And Tigers. Blue and gold.
Okay.
Michigan football. And
the Detroit Tigers.
Yes.
Okay. So orange
Yeah.
is the Tigers.
Orange and
navy blue. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, you're not from here. And then at what point did you know that Fort Wayne was going to be home for you? Like, if you're not truly from here, did you know kind of in your younger years when you were a teenager, or how did that work?
So, when I graduated high school, New Haven High School, go Bulldogs, right? Yeah, Bulldogs.
You don't even remember.
It's been so long
It's been so,
ago.
yeah, it doesn't seem like it was long
Okay,
ago.
so I actually went down to Ball State for a year. I moved back to Ann Arbor, and from there I moved out to Phoenix. Loved it. And but it was going to be, I was out there for 3 years, and then I was going to be coming back for my brother's high school graduation. And I think it was, I don't remember when I was flying back here or I was flying back to Phoenix after the graduation, but it just kind of hit me like, what am I doing so far away from home? And then, I don't know, I started setting up like job interviews here in Fort Wayne so that I would have a job like when I got here, so that I wouldn't have to like live off my parents. And things just kind of started lining up. I told my job, and crazy enough, they put me, like, my lease at my apartment was going to be up. And so that's when I was going to move back. But I was working for a bank at a time, and we had this like huge audit coming up, and they really wanted me to stay. So they put me up in a short-term, or like a long-term hotel, whatever. So I was there for like a month, and then my dad flew out, and he drove the truck home, and I drove my car.
Wow. So what year was that?
2009. I got back in late 2009.
Okay, so about 14 years it's been that you've been in Fort Wayne then?
Mm-hmm.
And then married and family. How many kids?
3.
Tell me a funny story about each one.
I don't know. They're all really funny.
Well, pick one.
Trace, my oldest, he really likes sports, and so he'll just like turn on ESPN, and any sport that's on, he'll sit there and he'll watch it, and then by the end of the game, like, he's able to rattle off like all these stats,
yeah,
and all the players' names and what they were doing and the rules of the game. Maybe it's just like a boy thing, I don't know, but it's just,
Maybe because I did the same. I feel like my mom would say the same.
Yeah.
About
Yes,
me.
my mom said the same thing of my brother. So, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of cool. Let's see. Wes, he's my middle one. He's so like friendly and helpful. You know, he'll always come up to me and like, Mom, is there something you need help with? I'm like, yeah,
Oh,
sure. You want to
wow.
unload the dishwasher? I mean, maybe
Does he regret it?
That's what I was just gonna say. Maybe he would wish he wouldn't have asked, but I don't know. He does it gleefully, like happily. So that's nice.
My mom would not say that about me. That's not normal.
Yeah. And Rosie, she's my little one. I don't know. She's stubborn. I don't have that many good stories about her.
Where's
I'm
that
just
come
kidding.
from? No.
I don't know. I don't always think it's bad to be stubborn. You know, she stands her ground, and so I think that's a good trait to have in some situations, not every situation.
Yeah. You don't want to be a pushover. But
yes.
sometimes 2 + 2 is 4. No matter even if you say it's 5, it's still not.
Right.
Right.
So, you know, a lot of people like, oh, she's the littlest one. She's gonna rule the house, which the boys don't let that happen, but she also doesn't let them rule. So they rule in unison, I guess. Like, I don't know, they know how to read each other, and they know how to be like, okay, yeah, Roz, you can have what you want. And other times she's like, no.
Right. Oh, that's awesome. So when did you take over the market? What's the story behind that?
When I was moving back from Phoenix, I called my sister and I was like, hey, are there some farmers markets in town? And she's like, we live in Indiana. Yes, there's farmers markets. And I was like, okay, well then where are they? And she couldn't tell me. And so, I don't know, I guess that's just how I knew I wanted to get involved in the community, is to like go shopping at a farmer's market, I guess. So shortly after I got here, like, I don't know, I guess maybe it was like a year and a half, I actually started to get my real estate license. And the agent that I work with, he recommended that I get involved with YLNI, Young Leaders of Northeast Indiana. So I went and checked them out, and they were the ones that did the farmers market. And so I started volunteering for that. And at first I would volunteer and like not show up. Exactly what I hate now. But I don't know. But then I kind of started, like, I just had these fundraising ideas, like, oh, we should do like a baked potato type thing, or a wine tasting type thing. And I don't know, it didn't feel like it was perceived that well. But that's okay. And so there were some new board members that started coming on, and one of the board members that came on just happened to be someone I knew that worked at the realtor board. And so then we started talking about some cool things that could happen at the market, and the guy that was running the market, he was going to be getting married, and so he was looking for a way off. And so he called me up. He's like, hey, you want to go to lunch? And I was like, okay. And we got to lunch, and he's like, so you want to take over the market? I was like, hell yeah. You want me to start this Saturday? And he's like,
You were hoping he would say that?
no, I had no idea what he'd ask me, but when he asked me, I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Let me do it. And
Now, how many vendors at that time then?
at that time, it was just the courtyard, and so like 30 to 33.
But that's still pretty much bigger than most markets even right now in 2023.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was still big at that time to take on, to just be like, yep, I'll start this Saturday. Well, what do you mean 33 people? You gotta,
Yeah, and I think it was kind of the middle of the season, so it was obviously already
it was kind of,
yeah. So I remember I had a bunch of questions for him, but then I don't know, I just kind of caught on quickly, and with the help of my board member, was was her name, and it could have been a season or two later, we were just getting more vendors, and I was like, we can't like tell these people no, like we have to have room for them. And so we thought to close Bar Street, but we wanted to make sure we had enough vendors to put out there.
yeah, not just for one.
Right. So, but I think we even started with just like 10 vendors that we had out there. But that didn't last for long. You know, by the next summer, like, I don't know, 30 out there, and then it just kind of kept going. And so then, since, I don't know, so that was probably like maybe 4 or 5 years, maybe, that we were just closing bar. And so over that time, I made friends with this guy at the city who like always helped us close the streets. And so I just called him. I was like, "Hey, like, can we set up a meeting?
Hey,
What
buddy.
do you think about if we closed Berry Street?" And he just looked at me and he's like, I don't know. He just looked at me like I was crazy. I was like, "Oh, come on, let's just try. Like, what do you think? Come on." So I think the first time I asked him, he didn't go for it. I was like, "Okay, that's fine. You know, whatever. Thank you for thinking it over." But then the following year, I was like, "Look, come on. Like, let's just give this a try."
You can talk
Because
them
it
into
barely
it.
gets any traffic, whereas with Wing, it's a lot more traffic. So I think that's been like 4 years that we've had it closed now. Maybe like three or four.
I guess honestly I thought it was more even than that. But
No, I think it's only been like 3 or 4. Maybe 5. I don't know. I lose track of time anymore.
yeah.
So,
So let's go through some of the newer things over the last couple years that have been added to the market that you're proud of. So let's start maybe the pony rides.
oh, that's brand new. That just happened
Yeah.
3 months ago. 2 months
So
ago.
that's, I mean, you think of the farmers market and what it started as, and now you can do pony rides.
Yeah, it's crazy. I never would have imagined that. I mean, like, Todd at the History Center, he's great. And, you know, he'd always be like, "Oh, well, if we need more space, we can always spill into the, you know, the parking lot right in front of the History Center." And I was just like, I was always like, "Oh, well, you know, thank you." But, you know, I don't know. I just wasn't, okay, you know, we'll think it over if we need the room. But now that's definitely where we're putting the ponies. Because
That's
that's,
awesome.
in reality, that's the only space we have left.
And then something that went over pretty well a couple times for the winter market was cornhole tournaments with Justin Roach, and that was kind of cool. I was at some of those, and it was just fun to see them compete and like have a good time. And nothing says summer more than like a cornhole tournament outside. You know, for the winter
Right.
market, it was inside, so that'll be cool. What about how did all the? I feel like the food trucks out there is a thing. Like it's almost like a different. It feels like a different entity from the market, like its own. You know, people are lined up to eat at the food trucks, and
Well, technically it is. Technically it is a different event, according to excise, because that's how we've had to label it and market it. But that's okay, because it's still run the same behind the scenes, which, I mean, it doesn't matter to the public. But that's how we got around having alcohol at the market, was starting a different event by alcohol vendors being at a farmer's market. Then they could only pull a certain type of permit, and they had to create a roped off area. Well, you know, who wants to stand inside a roped off area and drink? You know, when you're at the market, you want to go shop. And so by creating a different event, they can pull a different permit that allows them to walk around the event. And it just happens to be next to a farmer's market that they can like walk across the street and walk through the farmer's market. Genius.
yeah. Okay, I want to take a break and let's go over some stats when we come back, okay?
Sure.
Brewhound Bus is your chance to visit all the scenes you want to check out, from breweries to wineries and nightlife. Book your tour with Brewhound Bus. Go to brewhoundbus.com, let us pick you up from your house and drop you off home safely. Grab 12 of your friends and bring your own cooler on board. Book your next bachelor or bachelorette party, birthday, or friends night out with Brewhound Bus. Check out the weekday specials as well, only at brewhoundbus.com. Okay, so we are back. I want to get into some stats for the YLNI Farmers Market. We're talking the summer market on the corner of Bar and Berry. So per Saturday, every Saturday 9 to 1, how many people, assuming it's, you know, decent weather, I get if it's pouring down rain, you're probably not going to have as many people show up.
That's not true.
Oh. Really? You got the same amount of people if it rains, if it doesn't?
It's not the same amount, but those are when your die-hard people come out, like your true fan. Not saying
Sure.
that you're not a true fan if you don't show up, but a lot of vendors say that's some of their best days are when it's been raining.
Wow. Okay. Well, then I just still want to know, like, what, on average, what is attendance like for a normal Saturday?
In May and September, it's usually like 6 to 8,000 per Saturday. The other months, what is that? June, July, and August. It's like 10 to 12,000 each Saturday.
That is crazy.
It's very crazy.
I mean, how do you even wrap your mind around that? 12,000 people? What?
I don't really think I've had time to do that.
It's every week.
Usually
I mean,
running around trying to do other stuff.
the market's 52 weeks a year. Just half of it's outside,
Yeah.
but where you're also inside the other time. So it's like you don't have time to wrap your head around that, I guess. And then, so per season for the summer, that is how many people are attending the market outside?
Last year I think it was last year we were at 198,000 for the season because we were like super excited. We almost hit the 200,000 mark. And then in 21, 21, I think we were at like 150. And then like a year or two before that, probably like at 130. So
COVID and all that.
Yeah. But even so during COVID, I mean, okay, listen to this. This is crazy. Here's a good stat for you. In the summer of 19, we had like 74 vendors was our high, right? And then 2020, day one, we had 100 vendors.
Jeez.
And our average was 115. And then in 21, we started with 115 and our average was 130. But we had like a total of like 300 vendors, because some of them are in and out and some of them are there every Saturday. And so then last year our average was still about 130. This year, 2023, we'll start with 130 vendors on day one. And listen to this. That's just the vendors on the market. That doesn't include the food trucks and the alcohol vendors at brunch on bar.
Right, which technically, if you do count those as another 15 or roughly 20.
Yeah.
Sheesh. So we're over
20 to 30.
over 150 different people have their business being represented.
Yeah.
In the community every Saturday.
Yeah, very cool.
So the number one market in the state, how does that sound to you?
Really all the credit goes to our vendors. They're the ones that are showing up every Saturday, blood, sweat, and tears, setting up at 7 o'clock in the morning, just having the most friendliest faces, smiles, greeting their customers, and then tearing down and doing it all over again the following week. They're the ones that are bringing the customers back and just really being so excited about the market and bringing the customers back in and sharing all the cool stuff that the market has to offer. So it's really our customers and like our vendors that that all that credit is due to.
Yeah. So what piece of advice would you give to someone who is not only looking to get into the market? Obviously, you know a lot about the market, but all of these vendors are entrepreneurs, every single one of them. Mm-hmm. So kind of by default, you understand a thing or two about being an entrepreneur. And what would you say to someone who came to you and said, I'm looking to be an entrepreneur, hopefully my business eventually I can also bring to the market, but what advice would you give them?
Well, the first thing I would ask them is, what are they trying to sell? Because I always have to hold true to the market, which is producer only, if they're wanting to come like be an entrepreneur into the market.
Sure.
Those are kind of things that I would ask first. I mean, not that I wouldn't have advice if they weren't making it by hand, but
Yeah.
I've been in the market. That's what I think about first. But I would tell them to go for it. You know, of course, have a business plan, have some good financing, you know, but to just go for it. I mean, we have thousands of people that come down each Saturday and support local people who are, you know, you can buy almost anything down there. And I mean, it's just amazing to see the city of Fort Wayne County, Allen County, even outside of Allen County. You know, people travel from Indy to our market. So the fact that we know our customers want local and they're going to support the people who are striving to do that, you know, that are putting food on their table for their family because the city supports them, you know, so it's amazing to me. So I would say do it. But I would also tell them to talk to the vendors because they are the ones that are doing it day in and day out. I mean, I can be your cheerleader, but they're actually the ones that are doing it.
Yeah. Okay, then if you were to have a sign, and it wasn't necessarily for the market, okay, I know you're the director of the market and you eat, sleep, and probably dream about the market. I get that. But if you were to have a sign that was up high where everyone in the Fort Wayne area could see it, again, not necessarily related to the market. If it does, that's a coincidence, but doesn't have to be related to the market. What would you want a banner to say for the whole community to read? What would that sign say?
Where do you come up with these questions?
I usually don't tell people. I tell people ahead of time most of the questions, but I never tell them this one.
This seems like
Unfair.
an odd one. Just an odd one. But I guess the odd ones always have the best answers, maybe.
They're juicy.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if I could have a banner above the city, what would it say, is what you're asking?
Mm-hmm. Everyone in the community would read it. No, money wasn't an object. We came to you and said, we have all the money. It's fine. Don't worry about it. But we're putting you in charge. Not as the director of the market, just as Ashley. Just, we want you.
Oh, interesting.
It is.
Do I have to design it?
No, just say what it says.
Oh.
That's all. Only you
I just
would
need to make sure I understand everything I'm responsible for in this scenario.
Just the text. What would the text read?
I mean...
Do I have to design it?
Well, maybe I wouldn't say as many words because I can't draw very well.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Obviously, a big 18-paragraph thing is not going to work, so keep it concise. Oh, she was going to do a novel.
Right, yes. And very small font. No, I think even outside of the market, you know, it's still important to represent our city and show, you know, be proud. So I think I would just say something like, support Fort Wayne, shop local, we are community, something like that.
3 lines. No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it coincidentally could still do with the market, but not.
That's the thing. Like, it doesn't have It doesn't have to do with the market. It could really truly be for anything.
Yeah, local restaurants, local other vendors that would never be able to come to the market. I mean, your local barber, right? Doesn't matter. I mean, I don't have a barber, but
really,
me in the shower.
I wouldn't have guessed.
Yeah. So awesome. Well, thanks for being here. Click on the link in the show notes for more information on YLNI, for the social medias for the YLNI Farmers Market. And remember, every Saturday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m., the address to the Farmers Market in the summer is
302 East Berry, the History Center. So if you Google that, it's going to tell you that's the History Center. But that's where we're at. We're right next to the History Center.
Yep.
Now you're not going to be able to park in the History Center.
Yeah.
You're going to have to find parking maybe in Citizen Square or the city lot right next to Cottage Flowers. They opened that for us. But also parallel parking on south of Wayne on Bar, or north of Barry on Bar, or Wayne Street, or Barry east of Lafayette, or Barry west of Bar.
Okay, so we know you memorized all that, so they should be fine.
I really have to think about that when I'm trying to give directions.
Just people know it's busy, it's fun, you're outside, get in where you fit in, find a spot to park, and bring your dog. That's all we care about.
Yeah, and everything is so close, so you could park over at Promenade or at the Landing. I mean, it's a few blocks.
But who cares where you park? Just figure it out.
But I feel like every time I'm downtown and I'm walking around, I'm like, oh, where did that building come from? I mean, like, obviously, it could be new, but like, man, that's a cool building. Like, that looks really cool. How have I not noticed that before? Probably because I was looking at the building across the street.
Right.
But
so we will see you next time, and we will check you at the market. Thank you. This podcast is brought to you by Coraggio Media. The show is edited by me and sponsored by the YLNI Farmers Market. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram for all the latest updates. We will see you next week, where we will be sure to show you how you can enjoy Fort Wayne.